Thank you. Have you ever had a goal that seemed impossible to get, that everyone told you you wouldn't make it, and yet you chose to pursue it? You chose to fight for it? If you're thinking, yes, I have, then you and I already have something in common. It is a pleasure to be here, standing again in REDtalks. And today I want to share with you the story of how I got my first job, my first official job, which was my dream job. And I got it by showing initiative, passion, and creativity. It all started some years ago when I began to study tourism administration in college back in Mexico. And then you may have experienced the same thing. Very common questions we got, my classmates and I, were stuff like, what are you planning to do in 5 years? Where do you see yourself when you graduate? What is your plan for your professional life? And at first everyone seemed to have everything figured out. Like everyone knew specifically what they wanted to do. And these were overly optimistic goals. For example, a friend of mine wanted to be in charge of a huge travel agency in Mexico. There was a girl who wanted to open the most luxurious restaurant in Mexico City with her own money, which is quite an ambitious goal. And there was a very arrogant guy who couldn't stop bragging about his connections and was convinced that through them he would get a very important position in the largest airline in Mexico at the time, Mexicana de Aviación. So time passed by and we all started to get more acquainted with the professional world. Some of us did internships that were unpaid. Other people took on part-time jobs. And there were also some crazy ones that took on full-time jobs. I don't know how they managed their time, but they're still alive, so they did it. As this happened, we all started to understand that money wasn't that easy to earn. That the most fulfilling positions, the challenging ones, and the ones we were aiming for, were almost impossible to get. Employers didn't really want to take the risk of hiring undergraduates, and these positions were reserved only for people with years and years of experience. So I saw how morale among my peers started plummeting. This became a common theme in the hallways of the university. I would frequently hear people around me talking about it, complaining about the situation. And I saw how my friends' dreams started going down the drain. The guy that wanted to work in the travel agency figured out that he didn't like that business anymore. The girl that wanted to open the most luxurious restaurant in the city found out that her savings were not nearly enough to open a so-so restaurant in a bad neighborhood. And the huge airline, Mexicana de Aviación, went bankrupt. And so the arrogant guy lost his connections, his hopes of working in this airline, and to everybody's pleasure, a small portion of his arrogance. Then, by this time, I already knew what I wanted to do. I figured that I wanted to be the general manager of a hotel. And I knew this because I took a course in hotel operations, and I did an internship in the maintenance department of a hotel. So after that, I decided that I wanted to manage a hotel. When I told this to my classmates, they started thinking that I was either very naive or completely insane. And they tried to convince me to go for a goal that was more realistic. They would say things like, come on, Juan, your only real work experience is at a dairy farm. You cannot use that to manage a hotel. That's almost impossible. Or, Juan, come on, I know that you love the course in hotel operations, but theory and practice are two completely different things. So just put your feet on the ground and look for something that you can get. And all of these arguments sound very reasonable within the context that I just gave you. After the reality slaps that everyone got, I looked very stubborn when I expressed my interest in being a general manager. And then my stubbornness continued, and I started doing my research on the companies I could work for. And I looked at every single hotel in Mexico. I looked everywhere, in every state, every kind of hotel, big ones and small ones, large chains, independent properties. I looked at every kind of hotel I could think of. And what I found was that job offers were very scarce. It wasn't surprising. And, well, I wasn't discouraged because graduation wasn't close yet. And so I wasn't pressured for time. So I kept on doing my research, and soon things became much more specific. I decided that I wanted to work for Grupo Habita. This is a company that might not ring a bell to you, but it's the leading chain of boutique hotels in my country. It is an amazing company. It had been around for 12 years, and they had been growing at a rate of 1 hotel per year, which is a huge thing for a family business. They were in every single design magazine. They had the best architects working for them. They had the best bars, the best DJs playing in the best parties all around Mexico. They were located in the most beautiful destinations in my country. So it was a huge thing. I fell in love with this company, and I decided that I wanted to work for them. They didn't have any offerings at the time, so I decided that in the year that I had before graduation, I would be aware of what they published as vacant positions to work there. And there were some job offers here and there, none that I was interested in. But as I read more and more about the company, I was more and more obsessed with it. Now I really, really wanted to work there. That's all I wanted. And then graduation came, and 1 month after graduating, there it was. Suddenly, the opportunity of my life, what I had been waiting for this whole year. A vacant position for general manager of their 2 hotels in Playa del Carmen. Let me show you some pictures of their hotels so that you know what I'm talking about. This is one of their hotels in Mexico City. It's a beautiful place. Maybe you cannot really appreciate it in this picture, but let's go on. They have amazing rooftops. This is in Monterrey. They have a beautiful pool. This is where Vivi is from. This is Ensenada. They used to own this place. They don't operate it anymore, but it is their design. It is their location. This is the kind of stuff they do. This is Puerto Escondido. It's fairly new. It's about 3 years old. This is Puebla, where I come from, one of my favorite hotels. They have that amazing pool with a view to the church. This is also in Mexico City, one of their amazing bars. Anyone recognizes that skyline? New York. It is, New York. So that one has become like the flagship of Grupo Habita. They're very proud of it. And now they are opening one in Chicago. This is Veracruz. And this is a compilation of many of their hotels. So I had this. So I found about this offer in their 2 hotels in Playa del Carmen. These were 2 of the most beautiful properties I had ever seen. Hotel Básico and Hotel Deseo. They were located in one of my favorite places on earth, beautiful Playa del Carmen. And I really thought this was meant to be. It had come like right after my graduation. There it was, these two beautiful properties waiting for me to manage them in my favorite place. So I was very, very excited. Can you imagine how I felt? I was so enthusiastic, I didn't even think about it. I just grabbed my laptop, I started writing the most unprofessional email I've ever written. And then I attached my embarrassingly short resume, and I sent it to the head of the Human Resources Department of Grupo Habita. And then I waited. I waited for the 3 longest days of my life. And then I got a reply. I didn't even tell anyone. I just opened the email and I started reading. I read the first 2 lines. Dear Juan, thank you for applying to Grupo Habita. However, your experience milking cows is irrelevant to our company. What? What is this guy talking about? He doesn't even know it, but this was a matter of fate. This is my job. He can take it away from me like that. That's not on the rules. I was very angry and very frustrated. And as I do when I am angry and frustrated, I went out for a walk. And I started thinking. And I understood that I had spoiled my only one chance at this company. This was my dream. I had been wanting it for 1 year. I had been obsessing about it for 1 year. And now I had a no. I was rejected. And I was very, very angry. I couldn't stop thinking. And I went over it again and again. And I started taking it personally against this guy. Like, he was blocking my dream. It wasn't my mistake. Wait, it was. I had rushed through the whole thing. I didn't even think about the email that I sent. Anyway, this guy wasn't going to block me. I wasn't going to take no for an answer. I needed to talk to him. I needed to sit in his office and convince him that I was the man for this job, that he needed to hire me. But how could I do this? He wouldn't even take my call. He already had said no. So why would he waste his time in me? And then I had an idea. The light bulb went on, and I understood that it wasn't his attention that I needed. I needed to aim higher. I needed the owner's attention. As crazy as it sounds, 24 hours later, I was traveling on a plane to Playa del Carmen. I had booked 4 nights in one of the hotels I wanted to manage, in Hotel Básico. As soon as I stepped out of the plane, I started recording my experience as a customer and what I felt throughout the whole thing. When I got to the hotel, I evaluated every single process I saw. I wrote everything about it. I engaged in as many interactions as I could. I talked to the customers, and I talked to the competitors. I talked to everyone I could. I wanted to get the whole perspective of these hotels. I wanted to get a whole perspective about these hotels. And so I wrote everything down, and by the end of my trip, I had a document of 30 pages that consisted of 2 parts. One was the journal of my activities day by day, and the second one was all of the problems that I had seen in this hotel, and 2 or 3 solutions that I thought I could implement if I was hired as the general manager. When I got back home, I asked my family for help, and I asked them to read through the document, make suggestions, and make corrections. And when it was done, I edited it, I made it look pretty, and then I sent it to the 4 owners and the COO of Grupo Habita. And then I had to wait again. but this wait wasn't as long as the last one. The next morning, I got a call from one of the owners saying that they already had someone for the job, but they still wanted to have an interview with me. So I went to Mexico City for my interview. And it was very intimidating. It was my first formal interview ever with the owner of this amazing company and the COO. So I was really scared. And I got there knowing that my greatest weakness was my lack of experience. So I decided that I had to drag their attention to my report. I had to drag their attention to the document I had written. And I couldn't let them focus on my lack of experience. I did it successfully. The interview went very smoothly, and the overall strategy worked perfectly. For 3 weeks later, I was traveling back to Playa del Carmen, but this time as the general manager of Hotel Básico and Hotel Deseo. The lesson, later on, I found out, the CEO told me that they had chosen me, a 25-year-old without experience, among 18 candidates with at least 2 years of experience, and one offer standing by, because no one had ever shown them this enthusiasm and this initiative. So the lesson I got from this experience, and that I want to share with you, is never to let anyone or any situation define what you are capable of. You need to own your own path. You can make things possible, even if they seem impossible. And remember that there's always a way to stand out. Passion, initiative, and creativity will take you very, very far. Thank you for your attention.